This year, I have finished over 150 artworks, and we're talking full illustrations, not sketches, not rough paintings, full illustrations. Most of those were commissions that people paid real money for. I find it quite impressive, and it was a huge milestone for me, especially counting the last year. I finished around 90 pieces, so almost double the number. And today I wanted to go over every single piece and kind of talk about what I thought about doing it, what it was about, like tell kind of more about every single piece, and potentially show you how I grew over the year, because obviously I grew a lot as an artist, how I approached to working with clients, how I approached with working with social media, because that has changed a lot too over this year. So let's get started with the first one. First one was actually it was a fan art of one of characters in World of Warcraft at that moment, and fairly quick piece, just more of a portrait piece. Just did it for fun for myself, for social media engagement. Didn't really get that much. Note that I'm using a texture brush on this one, which is also gonna reoccur later. You're gonna see me change my brush, and with that change a lot of the approach that I do and how I structure my paintings. One fun fact about this painting exactly is that it didn't seem to get much attention on Twitter, but then only recently I saw just a random person using this as their profile picture, so that was pretty neat. Let's move forward. We have a lot of art to cover today. This piece was in fact a commission, and from my very regular and trusted commissioner. It was kind of like a freedom commission, so they just gave me a character and I did what I was doing, whatever I wanted to with it. Tried to go for like a little more realistic lighting, and don't really think that I did it quite well here. I think this was one of my first tries with a top-down point of view in the piece, which is nice. So yeah, quite a wasn't really that didn't really spend that long on the piece, but I think it turned out okay. This is just, I guess this would be probably weakest piece throughout this whole year, because this was just like a portrait, a little quick portrait that I threw in like maybe 5 hours or so of my character that I was playing at the moment. You're gonna notice a lot of Warcraft art, because that's kind of what I'm doing. Playing Warcraft and doing Warcraft art, that's my thing. So moving on, that is actually first step in the main theme of this year, and it was the theme is quick stream commissions. So what I thought that instead of doing big illustrations for people that I was doing all throughout my previous years of art, I decided to just see how much I can get done in like a smaller time frame. And this was the first commission that I got, a dark iron dwarf. I went for more of a close-up because I didn't know what I was able to do in a certain amount of time. I think for this it was 7 hours, and I was charging around like $70. So I got this. I was very uh, pleasantly surprised with the result. I actually didn't think I would be able to come up with this in 7 hours, because just to put this in the context, all my previous pieces from previous years were taking me like 30, 40 hours minimum to do. But I was obviously charging more for them, but this was a nice step. And yeah, this is actually one of the examples. Moving to the next piece, this is an example of a bigger illustration. So this was like roughly 30 hours or so. Also a commission of an original character. They wanted two portraits of the same character in kind of their different state of their life, I guess, the character development. Yeah, this is what I went with. Still rocking with a texture brush, and I really enjoyed this piece. I really enjoyed playing with shapes of the hair. Moving on. Yeah, another example of a big illustration. For actually also my regular, very loved commissioner. They always commission me Warcraft characters in like interesting scenarios that I would usually never go for. So this is actually a location in the game that you kind of go beyond the sea in this like little train thing. Yeah, it was very fun working on this piece. Actually, still quite like it, which is rare considering it was like a year ago. Right. Another quick commission, this time not a Warcraft character, and you'll see me do those less and less, because kind of throughout this time I figured out that I like doing more of Warcraft stuff, and this one wasn't that bad. I think I was definitely using a reference for the pose, but yeah, just a furry guy. Another one from the same commission that the second piece was for. Also a quick commission, more of a close-up. I actually like this one, but again, no Warcraft, so not really my theme. I think they were quite satisfied with it. Another one, another stream commission, also not a Warcraft character, but I really liked working on this one. Kind of like went for more of a horror vibe. Yeah, definitely a lot of like expressive brush strokes and tried stuff with colors. Cool piece, proud of that one. This one though, I would say that this one was really a moment where I understood that I'm capable of like doing a lot within like those 7 hours for stream commission option. So WoW character, a Draenei, like a warrior rocking two-handed weapons, absolutely amazing. I think I nailed the vibe, and I really enjoyed working on this. However, you see, just the amount of detail in rendering. Just note this, that it is substantially less than what I'll be able to do like later in the year, because as I started doing those quick illustrations, I noticed that I can actually improve and learn so much more from like faster illustrations compared that I would do spend like 30-40 hours on a given piece. So next one is also stream commission, also Warcraft character, and I'm kind of already at this point picking up on the theme that I really like doing those. Again, just no really in detailed rendering. I kind of try to detail the face the most and the focal point, but the rest is being kind of just a character presentation, and the background being like something you see almost a gradient, something abstract, but to just complement the character. This one is a big illustration, however, I remember really struggling with this one for some reason. Even though it seems like a simple piece, it was still kind of troublesome. A drug fear from WoW. I tried to have them do like a spell from the game, but I mean, it turned out all right, but I definitely spent so much time on this, like a crazy amount of time. Remove this. Yeah, moving on. Another stream commission. Hold on. Another stream commission of an original character this time around. Definitely cool looking one. You can see me jumping a lot in terms of like what I want to do in the piece, like the approach that I'm taking, the rendering, the style of rendering. I kind of try to have the character blend into the almost paper background. I remember actually that was inspired by some League art for some characters. I don't think I nailed that vibe, but the piece is alright. Piece is cool. Also an original character for the same commissioner as the previous piece. Very hard boob accent. Enjoyed the golden rendering. Yeah, pretty cool piece. I've actually, in the previous years, I've drawn this character, I think 3 or 4 times. Just like same person commissioning me this character over and over. Like absolutely loved painting her every time. Right, moving to more full illustrations. Nothing really to say here. Was alright piece. This piece, however, I have quite strong memories of, as of this was probably the single commissioner this year who was unhappy with what I've provided, even though I stated the terms of a quick commission that is like, it's, you know, it's an experimentary thing. I don't really do changes after I'm done. It's like time frame only, so like no changes, no complaints. However, they've been like very aggressive in asking for changes afterwards and threatening me with a refund, which is, you know, obviously a scary thing in the art community. So what I usually do in these situations is I just try to go and do whatever the commissioner says. I don't really like being confrontational with them and like staying my ground. So yeah, I ended up spending like way more than 7 hours on these. But you can still see, like, within a stream commission, like, even a quick 7-hour piece, I already do more and more details as I go. Another one, another furry piece. Another furry piece, which I actually think this one and the previous one, I didn't even post them. So like at this point, I kind of clocked that, I can do those furry illustrations and they're fine. I get paid for them. It's quite a lot of fun doing them, but they don't really go well on social media, especially with what I'm focusing on, which is Warcraft art. So at this point, I think I clocked that I shouldn't really post every single piece that I do. And I guess this is a nice addition to this video where you'll see all of my art throughout this year, almost all. There were some NDA stuff, but yeah, I've never posted this anywhere, so judge it for what it is. Alright, coming to more Warcraft art, actually loved painting this. A priest from World of Warcraft, another stream commission. I've actually just finished another artwork for the same person who commissioned this, so you'll see that one in, I guess, whenever we'll get to it, 150 something artwork. 20th piece, another one from my regular commissioner. Absolutely loved this. This commissioner always pushes me towards like doing more grand, big pieces with like storytelling in them, and I absolutely love this. Still going with this square texture brush. You can see the elements in the background. I did them kind of like Van Gogh vibe. Try to like, experiment with the texture. Just because this texture brush doesn't really allow for like a smooth blending, so I ended up experimenting with shapes and like direction of brush strokes. Almost did like a pencil-like rendering here, which I really enjoyed. So right, moving on. Another quick commission, World of Warcraft Red Paladin. Absolutely vibing with this, and you can see this is 21st piece of the year. I already go for like more battle poses, like kind of action in the piece, and they actually look like a complete illustrations, even though they're done within like 7 hours. And at this point, like I'm posting this and people just harassing me for charging only $70 for this, which in my mind is kind of justified because like I'm learning, I'm doing this very like strict rule commission thing where I'm not doing any changes. It's like you set it and it's done. But at the same time, like at the end of the day, people end up with like full illustrations, which other artists would charge so much more for. All right, this piece, almost a highlight of the year for me, 22nd piece of the year. My own fan art of Ridicron, who is a villain, a character from WoW, which I absolutely loved painting, and character design is absolutely amazing. On this piece, actually, I received comments from people who worked in Blizzard, and Mr. Dave Greco himself, one of the artists who I'm really looking up to, he actually commented on this and said that they showed this piece around the team and they loved it, and that just absolutely blew my mind. Like the fact that Blizzard artists share my art within their team and they're enjoying it, that's crazy. But you can see the piece for what it is. Like I kind of like this. Right, next one, also Warcraft full illustration commission, kind of like a I think this was a werewolf botanist. Is that the right way to pronounce it? Yeah, kind of like an interesting piece. Definitely enjoyed working on this one. Wasn't really challenging, but yeah, enjoyed like rendering all the plants and everything. It was a really fun piece to work on. Another stream commission of a Warcraft character. This time, I think it was a it was a Destruction Warlock Worgen. Yeah, it actually has such a different vibe painting Furies for WoW and not for WoW. Whenever I'm painting those for WoW, I kind of have more sympathy towards them. Where as I'm painting Fury that is not a WoW character, I don't really have any feelings towards them. Like I don't really vibe with them. This one was pretty nice. This was pretty nice. Next one, speaking about Furies that I don't vibe with. This ended up being like a very, very good looking stream commission. Actually, I think this one people were really praising me for. But yeah, another Fury stream commission. And I think the next one, oh no, next one is a Warcraft one. A Tauren with a daisy on her hair, with hair covering their eyes. Absolutely incredible. Love this piece. All right, another Fury. A Scaly, I would say. I really loved this piece. But again, a Fury, not Warcraft related. I think I posted this on social media. I don't remember how it did, probably not well. And at this time, I'm kind of picking up the vibe where I should probably limit myself to only WoW character commission requests, but I wasn't really sure if I would get enough commissions or not. Yeah, speaking on not WoW, this was a big illustration for also my regular commissioner, but this character, yeah, I've never shared this piece before, even though it was a lot of time, a lot of effort. I think piece came out pretty well. You can see like a lot of details here if I zoom in, like everything, all the colors, everything carefully put together. Yet I've never shared this just because I thought nobody would care. And frankly, like truthfully saying, nobody really would. Because everything on my socials is just WoW related. Next one, the WoW piece. I think I ended up not sharing this one either because I just didn't think it came out too well. This was one of those scenarios where I tried to go like a little too hard. You can see the idea of being her running through a battlefield, people shooting arrows on her, red fabric for just peel and composition, and just didn't really have time to like figure out the pose and everything. It looks all right overall, but if you really zoom in, like it's really not detailed, and I think I ended up not sharing this. This one was a freedom illustration on a original character. Yeah, this one I remember vibing a lot with. It's of like rendering armor and everything, character with the braids. Yeah, really fun piece to work on. This one, I remember feeling so ambitious working on this, but now looking back at it, I recognize why I didn't do so well. So the idea for this piece was an alternative ending type of scenario where I was just frustrated with the state of the story in WoW, and I thought, what if actually in the end of the raid, the final boss, the main enemy of the expansion, what if they would win? What if they would kill all the characters? And you can see them like holding by the throat the main character, the protagonist, and the other guys being also like dead and burned in fire on the ground. I thought it would be cool and community would resonate with this, but I guess the piece itself just is too noisy. Like I try to balance so much together, and I actually remember struggling with like the value composition in the piece. Another Warcraft character stream commission, a Blood Elf, not a Blood Elf, sorry, I think it was a White Elf, but yeah. I actually don't know if those blades are in the game or not. Sometimes people commission me Warcraft characters, but they want to kind of like an addition of like their own representation of it, like some elements of design that is not in the game from just like artistic references, or they explain it via text. And I usually don't mind it and just let it in. There's this piece. Yes, this piece I have never posted either. It's like actually I think one and only anime character commission that I've ever received in my life, and it's from an anime that I didn't watch. I don't even recall its name now. I remember people recommending for me to watch it, but yeah, it was a full illustration, pretty kind of followed the commissioner's lead. Ended up never posting it anywhere because even though it's like maybe 30 hours of work, still not WoW related. Another Warcraft character commission. I think this one I definitely tried to shoot a little too much on the background with the main city of the time in the background. Ended up not doing enough rendering on the character. That's kind of that is my fault that I now that I look back at it. Another Warcraft character commission is Shadow Priest. I actually enjoyed this one a lot. I remember this being like a highlight for me at the time, where it was a cool enough composition, also pretty a lot of like rendering and everything done. Still doing this textured squarey brush. Alright, another Warcraft character, a panda this time around. I believe I have to do another commission for the person who commissioned it. Yeah, this piece was a lot of fun. I don't recall if I posted this or not. I like the bird in the background too. Sometimes I try to throw in some like fun elements in my pieces. Another Warcraft character piece, a Worgen Fire Mage, looks pretty dope. Alright, this is a Final Fantasy character commission, also like a full illustration, and I spent a lot of time working on this. I think I did share this one. It was a time where I was still ambivalent on if I should share art that is not WoW related or not. So yeah, cool piece. Remember struggling a lot with the curtains in the background in the structure of feathers, but I ended up doing a lot. Like you can see, I definitely went a little crazy with the color variation here. You can see oranges, you can see mint color, the deep blue in the back just for some compositional effect. Pretty cool artwork. All right, this might not seem like a good piece, and I see a lot of flaws in it. This was the first Dragfear commission of the year, and I was definitely not ready for what it's like to paint Dragfears. Dragfears are like dragon people in WoW, and they actually are quite difficult where they have wings, which are pretty much two extra limbs, and actually a lot of complex armor too. So they they actually are pretty difficult to paint, especially like in a short time frame. So 7 hours at this came out pretty rough, I would say, like rendering wise, definitely a lot to be desired on. However, at this point I've started noticing that no matter how Dragfear is painted, it gets like 5 times the amount of attention on socials. Like on Twitter, this got, if I recall correctly, 2 or 3 thousand likes, which, for example, my usual paintings get like 500 or like maybe 1,000 if I'm lucky. So at this point, I'm like, oh, that's strange. Like, why so? And this trend will continue always. I'll tell you more later. With this piece, also quite a huge change. You can see here I have shifted from this textured square brush to just a simple hard round brush, the default Photoshop brush, the most default you can ever find. And I actually like this piece a lot at the time. It's definitely looking good. Like it lacks details if you really zoom in. It's very rough in rendering, but overall, like as a with composition, everything, the pose, it looks pretty good. And at this time, I thought that it is actually the brush that allowed me to just focus on general shape, body language, gesture, like, and not really get trapped in the rendering and the texture. And I just kind of wiped with the brush, and I ended up going with it for quite a long time. You'll see. But this piece again, a Dragfear, not very well rendered. 2,000 likes or something. I absolutely went mad. Obviously, every time a piece does that well for me, at least for me, maybe like for some artists it's not a big amount of exposure, but for me I always get like more and more followers whenever like if I post a piece that is not a dragon, that is not WoW related, it can get like 100 likes and somebody will unfollow me, right? So I'm definitely noticing a trend where like, oh damn, people like those goddamn dragons. Next one, another Warcraft commission. You can see definitely huge change in vibe from the texture brush um, to the just hard round brush. So the shapes, the everything is kind of softer. Obviously, Booba, Furry, all nice. No tail though for Worgans, which I probably should have included it. They don't have it in game, but now it looks kind of off, and I don't see a tail to Furry. Another dragon. I think I tried to cook too hard with the gesture here, but again, it did pretty well if I remember correctly. Kind of getting a grasp of Dragfear anatomy at this point. This piece wasn't a commission. This piece was a fan art of my own character. I actually do really enjoy painting my own characters in WoW, especially if I play a lot. And this time around, I think I've gotten like 1800 rating in PvP, and that it gives you elite appearance for a PvP set, which I actually ended up painting here. So I was playing Restoration Shaman, and I got this set. Was excited to paint it, and couldn't hold myself from getting a couple of frogs in. If you can see those bad boys in the corners there. Really roughly, but I actually enjoyed doing this piece a lot. Ended up not really detailing it as much. Usually for my personal art I kind of go crazy with rendering and stuff like that, but this time around it was pretty chill. I actually ended up cutting it early. But yeah, a lot of water. I've studied how to paint water very excessively last year, so this time around I felt like very confident coming in the piece and just, just kind of rocking it. This one, actually, similar vibe, right? But was a stream commission, so I had significantly less time. Also was able to include the frog. I don't know if you can see it. It's right here, jumping out of nowhere. Also Restoration Shaman, but a Volpira this time. If you don't know why I'm including frogs, is because shamans have a spell in the game that can turn an enemy into a frog for a certain period of time, and that's why I try to include them sometimes. Yeah, still hard round brush, you can see the very soft vibe of it. This one as well, Warcraft character stream commission, Draenei Hunter, with very simplistic armor. Also hard round brush. I also try to cook uh, with colors here a lot. You can see in the background I actually really like this mint hue, and a lot of color variation here. It doesn't really seem like it affects the overall piece, but still. However, you can see the rendering is definitely, you know, the fingers, the eye, even the face is not very that well rendered. The hair is definitely doesn't really look like hair. It looks good as a piece overall, but like just notice that the rendering is definitely not what it will be at closer to the end of the year. Remind you, it is 45th piece, which is less than a third. Another Warcraft character stream commission. Really actually loved working on this one. I enjoyed really rendering metal. I would say during those stream commissions I really leveled up with rendering metal, because I mean every other Warcraft character is just a bunch of plate and you gotta be rendered somehow. Another Warcraft character, I actually don't recall if I posted this one or not. I remember not really being satisfied with how background worked with the character. But yeah, here it is. They had an addition of metal, like this construct arm, which is obviously you cannot get in the game, but they just ended up asking for me to include it. A mage blood elf, I believe, another Warcraft character commission. You can see just more and more Warcraft characters. I don't recall. I think at this point I didn't accept character commissions requests that are not Warcraft characters. So because I just clocked, and you know, maybe I should try to only specialize in WoW. And it was actually such a good decision. Somehow I ended up more people commissioning me, and obviously more people resonating and liking my art as a result. And I was more happy too as a result of that, because I was able to focus on something that I really like and I'm really passionate about. And you'll definitely see this resonating in my illustrations. Another Warcraft character, still hard round brush. Try to cook more with value composition here. Try to have brighter character on darker background. I remember at the time it was like a huge theme for my art, where I was like, since I was doing those pieces more and more often, I was thinking more about like kind of systemically approaching illustration. So like literally as a starter piece, I'm thinking like, is the character darker than the background? Is it lighter? What's the like? What are the colors that I'm gonna use? I was trying to plan them ahead. As of, well, before working on big illustrations, it was more of, well, let's just start and then see how it goes, how it complements, and just trying out more and more pieces per, even per week, per monthly basis, ended up like teaching me a lot. Next piece, speaking about big pieces, is another piece for my big commissioner. I remember, yeah, this one was very, very challenging. I ended up struggling with this one a lot. Um, uh, I also recall that I started this piece using textured brush, and then as midway I switched to this hard round brush that has no texture, and there is so any texture that was left in, I kind of felt obligated to paint over just to keep the consistency of the style. So yeah, this piece definitely took me ages to paint, and I don't even feel it looks that outstanding for the amount of time that I put in. Definitely, although like very, very ambitious composition, obviously you can see countless amount of characters while having the main character too. Yeah, but let's move on to more quick illustrations. Another WoW character, still around, still trying to do as much rendering as I can within given time. I think at that time I kind of started feeling more confident, and I was just increasing price a little bit, and at some point I remember I lowered the time frame from 7 hours to 6 hours. So yeah, as I grew in experience, I obviously see demand go up my prices, and also lower the time. And I think 6 hours was pretty good for them. It's kind of like what I'm doing these stream commissions up to today. Another stream commission, Paladin. I think they, even though they had a Paladin character, they wanted to go for a little like Void, darker vibe. This one was a lighter Paladin. Actually, remember at the time I was kind of unsatisfied with the amount of rendering I was able to do, but I was really trying to push the kind of lighter character in the background. I wanted to have them shine in the piece. I think it succeeded in that for sure. This piece, however, I was very proud of. Definitely was hard referencing some reference for the fabric here, but the rest was, I think, done from imagination, and quite proud of this character. Um, Another one, here I really started cooking with colors. Another Warcraft character, just to say, I think everything onwards will just be Warcraft characters unless I say so, unless I mention. And for this one, yeah, I started cooking hard with colors. So the vibe here was to main character not almost like blend into the background, but I almost like started hating the bright, outstanding value compositions where character would just like vividly stay out from the background. It was super obvious, and it was like almost like a lazy paintings or like a lazy viewer experience where you wouldn't really have to look for details in the piece. Where here you look at it and you see the character, right? Like it's not getting lost in the background, but at the same time the values are pretty close, and you actually have to kind of go around the piece with your eyes and really see what's going on here. And I really kind of like this vibe. This one was a full illustration of a character. Um, Definitely kind of a feature vibe to this piece, but the characters from WoW, really enjoyed painting this one. Definitely, I rarely, as you can see, rarely get to paint like a character just in a full illustration setting. So here I really had a lot of time to just render the guy, render all of his armor and everything. Experiment even on the black parts of the armor with like a lot of color variation. You can see, even though from the distance it looks like he's just wearing like this dark grayish armor, in close-up it has a lot of different hues. You know, we see a dying mage in the foreground. That was pretty fun too. This, however, back to stream commissions, back to quick pieces. And this piece was a pretty revolutionary for me. I remember, first of all, I was so proud of this. And second, it actually marks a next chapter in this year where I came back from the vacation of using random ass brushes, round and texture and whatever, to my beloved brush that is, it's hard to describe. It's like a triangle with one soft and a hard edge, but it's really strange to use because it has like it's like dual wielding something with two, different edges. So it's hard to navigate, but somehow I really vibe with the brush. And actually, out of my like what 4 years, 4.5 years of doing art, I think 3 years easily have gone with me just painting with this brush. So I'm very used to this, and I think coming back from like almost studying styles of other brushes, I came back to this feeling very, very, I don't know, motivated and kind of renewed with all the lessons that I know. And you can see with this piece, a 6-hour artwork. However, I am so proud of this. This was definitely hard cooked on all the values, on all the colors, shapes, everything. Definitely shapes is the thing that kind of kept me moving forward from this point, where with this brush it kind of forces you to either blend everything together or just cut things into square shapes, and you'll see this motif going forward. Yeah, very proud of this piece. It was I think an unholy Death Knight Worgen with him kind of going crazy and mad. You can see on the eye almost like a undead look to him. All right, next piece. I think this I end up never sharing. I really like colors on this, but I think the poses end up being a little stiff. But with colors, I cooked really hard here, of course, and you can see the texture and the just overall look of the art is like totally different with just changing of your brush. This piece was a really, really nice one. I remember this going, I wouldn't say viral, but for me it was pretty massive on Twitter, like 3 or 4 thousand likes, definitely like a Scarlet Crusade type of a vibe. And just notice how much more rendering I am able to get done in the same time frame. Just like go back in the video and like check the first pieces, compare it to this, absolutely unbelievable, right? Like every time I did this, I was just shocked at my own result. And everything, like nothing is left out, and I didn't even spend any extra time on this. Even the background, you can see like it resembles like a burning city, and her even holding a torch. Even like the blood on the sword and everything is just, everything. Yeah, this one, however, wasn't like as good in my mind. I think the pose didn't really do well. And with these quick illustrations, the vibe is that if what you have planned for them doesn't really work out, and it is not always where you can actually tell if it's gonna work out or not, because the idea here is like she's moving, like she's walking towards the viewer and she drags this massive sword behind her. That sounds cool, but when you actually end up doing it, sword drawing in perspective, absolutely hate drawing swords in perspective. The pose of her walking forward was kind of difficult. I remember redoing the shoulder a million times. However, the hues and the value composition is really, really good. I really like the silver hair here. This is hard cook. This is definitely one of my favorites. Another Warcraft art, another Warcraft stream commission, like this undead king with a sword, and yeah, definitely extremely good work on values here and hues too. You can see even in the dark areas, I kind of incorporated some blues, and obviously very, very blue, shiny eyes. One of the things that I really love about doing Warcraft art is that if you're a Warcraft player and you look at this, you immediately recognize even the sword. It is like from a specific location in the game, from a specific time from a game. You probably know the source of how to get it and like how hard it is to get it, and it's always very nice to like kind of leave those, not even Easter eggs, they're just like it's just there, like it's part of the piece. But for Warcraft players, it definitely means so much more. Also, just notice this. Look how try to do like a skull shape, shaped out of his hair. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Yeah, that's commend myself for that. All right, back to more of a big illustration this time. For also, I think at this point my regular commissioner, a demonology warlock, kind of like a negotiation setting. Really like this piece. Really enjoyed working on this. Left also a lot of things that only WoW people would understand. For example, this is like an item that warlocks create to restore their health. This is like a soul shard that like warlocks split enemy souls into shards to use as their resources. If you're not a WoW player, you'll never guess it, but for someone who's into WoW, seeing this would be huge. And yeah, just in general, this piece, like a lot of rendering. That's the biggest difference between like quick illustration and full illustration, where here, like, I'm not limited in time, and I'm not calling it a day until I rendered everything, like absolutely everything. The swords, every little detail in the back you can see has had my attention on it for at least a couple of hours. Moving on, another stream commission, a Blood Death Knight. Really nice, good hues, good colors, good pose. Actually, I think at this point I can say that I've been using Wowhead Dressing Room a lot for my references, as you can pull up a Warcraft character and make them do like an in-game animation and stop it at a point, take a screenshot, use it as a reference. So that definitely was a reference from an ability in the game. Um, Definitely like the blood shapes here. A monk, monk from WoW, very nice. Mm, Definitely not my usual colors, but I think this piece did pretty well. Oh, a Vulpira building Fearlaugh. Fearlaugh is a legendary axe that was added in the game at the moment. Really like painting this. You'll see this axe quite a few times, and I mean, I've grown to, I can pretty much draw this with my eyes closed. I had to paint it so many times. But every time people would commission it, I would think like, damn, person who commissioned this is a gamer, because this was hell of a lot of work to get. Blood Elf Hunter, very nice. I think I tried to go for like a scene forest background, which I think at this point I've learned that in stream commissions it is kind of risky because like only 6 hours. I better use this time to render the character and the background. It's a little too much to fit in into this time frame. This piece did extremely well. A Drug Fear, I noticed quite a big gap without Drug Fears, but this one was definitely, I mean, 4 or 5 thousand likes. This went crazy, and you can see the amount of details, the fire in the back, everything. Like I'm very proud of this piece till this day. Even the face, the kind of burning shapes, the eyes here, everything actually came out so well. A Draenei. This piece also went extremely well. I think 3,000 likes or so. Yeah, just a good artwork in my mind. Oh yeah, this piece. This art and the next one was commissioned by actually a WoW content creator, which I was excited to work with. I don't really watch them that much, but I've definitely seen them around, and they commissioned me 2 pieces of Retribution Paladin. I had to paint kind of like their face as a little bit as they look in real life, which usually I try to stay away from doing stuff like this, but that kind of felt special because I knew they would use it for their stream and everything. I was definitely happy to work for them this time around. A panda too, with a jumping mouse, which you actually make a pet yourself in the game. Definitely don't try to paint a panda as their face, but I included the little X tattoo that they have in real life too. Next one, another stream commission, a Death Knight Night Elf. A Warrior Night Elf. I think with this one I kinda... The pose looked a little too stale and some proportions a little bit off if I am to critique myself, but rendering is definitely rendering is there. Oh, this one I remember liking a lot. However, I don't think it was received that well. Kind of like a Warcraft 3 vibes. Definitely try to go crazy on hues again. With some pink here, orange there, character more gray. If you notice the way I'm trying to work with colors, is that I try to make artworks colorful via adding just a lot of hues, but not really making them that saturated. Like if you color pick any of these points, they're probably like 20 to 30 saturation, maybe even less. But just having them all together in the same piece, it looks very colorful, even though it doesn't have any like neon colors. Maybe like some just little droplets, like maybe this sword and thing like that. But it doesn't really stand out because it's pretty dark. All right, a Draenei. I think this one is a pretty cool piece because it has quite a lot of storytelling, because she like holds an urn with her souls of her ancestors. It was pretty simple piece in the start, but then I tried to kind of cook harder with the shapes, and I actually really like the result. All right, this piece brings some memories. I think I never shared this one. I don't know why. It's like a pretty big piece, and you can see something going on in the middle. Um, which I think the idea was that the girl would be, um, she's kind of the dragon too, but in her Draenei form, and she was like a time traveler who was collecting herself in this dragon form from the past and then freezing them in case she dies and she can like resurrect as one of them. Actually, I might actually share this now because I kind of hated working on it back then. Nothing really wrong with the piece. I just really struggled with perspective here for some reason, although it seemed like a very straightforward one. For some reason, rendering and showing depth on the floor itself where characters stand, it was so hard for me. And I think I ended up spending on this piece like around like 50 hours or so. And at some point where you go above a certain threshold of hours, you just get so like frustrated with yourself if you and with the piece that you're working on that you don't even feel connected to it anymore. I think I've redrawn the girl itself probably 7 times or so, and parts of her body just countless amount of times, trying to fit her in the perspective. And you can see like just the amount of rendering that I've done here is absurd, because every time I would be thinking, okay, that's the last time I better render, and then I end up switching it up again. Yeah, but actually, looking back at it, it doesn't really look like a bad piece. I should definitely post it. So maybe in like the future, maybe next week I'll post this one. All right, moving on. Another stream commission. Panda Monk, looking nice. Cooking with shapes. A Blood Elf Hunter. One thing I like about this piece is the kind of this almost glossy rendering on the shoulder pad. In good values and hues too, but I think this piece doesn't really like stand out that thematically, because I had to like come up with something in the background. I don't think it looks great, but it doesn't really, it's not amazing. That's what I'm trying to say. Right, more of a close-up. Another same X Fear Laugh. Stream commission of a paladin, I think. No, it's a warrior set, definitely. That's a warrior building a Fear Laugh. Pretty nice. Ooh, a Panda Mage. I definitely love this one, absolutely. Look at how I tried to cook with the beam of light, almost making it the same brightness in the environment, but since the hue is different, it looks brighter. And you can see like just different variation of colors here. I kind of try to almost like erase character in the shadow, just because the piece is all about the brightness. Yeah, definitely love this one. An elemental shaman. I actually remember cooking up this idea for composition a while ago just for myself, because I play shaman myself and I wanted to paint this, but I ended up using it for a commission because, I kind of was really drowning commission requests and didn't really want to spend time on personal piece. Didn't feel like it was justified. Next one. This, I think, definitely one of the best pieces when it comes to stream commissions. It doesn't really look like a quick piece, does it? Like, to me, it looks definitely like on all levels like a full fleshed out finished art. Of course, you can say like face a little off, some rendering not finished, of course, but if you zoom out, it looks very, very well, and did very well on socials too. Next piece, however, was a little mistake, if I'm allowed to say so. So this was I decided for fun to participate in the Draw It in Your Style challenge hosted by my friend and fellow art streamer. A mistake, because if you're doing one thing and then there is like a little challenge which is completely out of your zone, because she just her like OC and anime style that she did, and you were supposed to draw it for the challenge. Didn't win the challenge, obviously. That's definitely not my thing, doing like anime art, but I tried to cook with at first I was trying to almost have her be very bright and blend to the background with her hair. I think almost succeeding on that. Rendering on the everything is pretty good. And also the idea was to kind of have her almost blend into a sketch. If you can see this, like blending into an artwork. Sitting on cardboard cutouts with a plastic duck. I don't know why I did that. I was just having fun. Actually, like to me, art-wise, it looks pretty good. But it definitely has no place in my portfolio, and definitely was a waste of time and money to do this. it is pretty harsh, but that's the reality. Like it was a mistake working on this piece. You can see, hold on, in the corner. Yeah, there is my signature for Yuki, who I did this piece for. All right, moving on. Oh, this one also was pretty proud at the moment. I think it was actually a Death Knight who was wielding a dagger, which was a request from Commissioner, obviously not how it works in the game. But again, notice the amount of rendering, right? And remember how in the start of the video I said that my first pieces were very unrendered. Compared to this, yes, extremely unrendered. And look at the amount of details I'm able to get in now, not leaving any part unrendered. Even the hair I'm kind of starting to get a hold of. Very nice, very proud of this. This character is actually from WoW, but not a playable character. Like a, how they call Draconids, I think. Yeah, so it was their kind of original character within WoW. That is not a playable character, but I think this one did pretty well on socials, and this is definitely quite cool. A Worgen Rogue, looking nice. I would say definitely went a little too dark on this. Yeah, but overall looking pretty nice. Another Dragfear, which I also think I ended up undercooking here. I was kind of confused by the anatomy and everything. Again, with Dragfears, you never know. It's they're quite challenging if you don't really approach them knowing how to do them. Yeah, but even with the given mistakes in anatomy and everything, you can see the rendering is definitely starting to ramp up with every single quick piece that I do. And on this note, I think I started to try to cook with pose and composition for these stream commissions more, because, you know, as my rendering gets better, like how do I really improve? And I gotta go like kind of harder on the whole concept of the piece. So this one I tried to do a top-down view on like a druid sitting on the grass. If you look at this piece, like zoom in and you look at everything, the hues, the rendering in the grass that she sits on, the shapes, the anatomy doesn't really look bad, but it just doesn't hold together as one piece that well. So I don't recall if I posted this or not, probably not. So yeah, it's I definitely noticed that even if you try to cook hard and you seemingly make everything well, like it's really difficult to do a difficult piece within like a small time frame. Here I went kind of. It seems like I went very simple with a straightforward view, but I kind of tried to do like a bottom up angle. Looks pretty nice, looks pretty crisp, although I really don't like the over darkened kind of dark on dark composition. Remember, I'm still trying to do this, you know, not simple character standing out, and kind of if the character is bright, then the background is kind of bright, and if it's dark, then it's dark. But the dark one definitely looks a little worse in my mind. However, I really like the shapes that I did here on the magic. All right, moving on. A Draenei priest, kind of purging shadows with light. Top-down angle. I think I was only starting on like experiment with this top-down view, and it was pretty challenging at the time. I don't know what I did with shadows here. They kind of look a little washed out. So some hues are definitely look a little muddy here. All right, this piece I really enjoyed. Kind of continuing trying to do more expressive, more difficult stuff. Demon Hunter just an action pole jumping down. Nothing really going on in the background, but the whole action is in the character herself. A Discipline Priest. Try to get as many bright hues and colors as I could in some rendering. I think the pose looks just a little bit stiff, and I definitely kind of lost it on the background, but overall definitely looks pretty good. All right, next one is a full illustration commission, which was requested for me to do in a little bit of a Hearthstone style, and Commissioner even shared the Hearthstone card that they did, a custom like metal Hearthstone card that they gifted to their friend. So yeah, I was trying to go way crazier on the contrast and readability of the character, constantly checking how it would look in like zoomed out version. And yeah, you can see it definitely looks quite different than all my other art. What was also noticeable about this piece is that I started doing it on my iPad, not even my an iPad of my sister, and it definitely felt quite different. So like part of this was done on in Photoshop as I usually do, and quite part was done in iPad. So because of that, it felt like this artwork was pretty quick. However, I probably spent like over 30 hours rendering this whole thing. All right. This is a massive thing. You can see many characters. This is Warband commission that I really, and I kind of cooked up the idea of offering people an option to commission their Warband, um, which was like an announced feature for the next expansion at a moment. And I actually got 4 people commissioning me these, and I've only posted this one. I actually ended up figuring out that they're not that flashy for social media engagement, but I charged quite a lot of money for it, and it definitely was a lot of work working on mostly the background. I would say characters were pretty easy to get done right, but then the background and coming like making this all to come together. I also wanted to include these UI elements. Had to learn a little bit of lettering for this, kind of developing this rune font myself. You definitely cannot read what it says here. It says Legend of Chaos, I think. I mean, the idea of the font is it's kind of like unreadable and so on, but here you have the names of the characters. And yeah, this commission was commissioner's characters were based behind Warcraft 3 characters. So you can see the original Death Knight, the Chieftain, Warden, Blamage, so kind of like all reminiscent to Warcraft 3, which was actually pretty sweet. Definitely brings a lot of memories. Played Warcraft 3 myself as a kid. Another stream commission, I think on this one, I tried to go for the back angle again to like spice things up and don't have things looking similar, but I think I end up not really liking this one, even though I really like the gold shine on the skull. I just think the pose in the like it looks a little underwhelming, honestly, because it's just not as dynamic. However, you can see Pure Life again, 3rd time in a row. See me painting this X. Alright, moving on. Another it is a full illustration commission of a Tauren hunter with their pet. You can see definitely it is not a quick commission based on all the rendering that is being done here. Definitely quite in depth, quite a lot of developed background. But I think the angle makes it just less dynamic, even though the piece is definitely kind of was meant to be more dynamic. Another quick stream commission. This one I was very proud of. Actually, quite the dark on dark theme, but done well. An undead priest kind of levitating. A Pandaren hunter. I like the violet hues, but don't really. Yeah, definitely just not that dynamic at all. I don't recall if I posted this one. I think not. Alright, but the next one I definitely did post, and I was very underwhelmed by the reception of the piece. Even though I think this doesn't really look like a quick piece. This looks incredibly rendered and very well made. Even the story and everything, you can, if you pay attention to, he's holding like he's like a drowning pirate. The theme of this piece was drowning, and I kind of try to hint at that he's drowning not only physically in water but also like mentally with a pint of some alcohol that is kind of like bringing his demise upon him. So yeah, try to go into like some meeting here, okay, and you know, 0 likes, whatever. It will pure exploring dungeons. Also, a stream commission that I actually I'm quite proud of. I don't really like washed out colors. I think it's because I kind of applied some colors to the shadow, which I actually for my colors to work, I prefer for the shadow to have almost zero saturation. So yeah, colors are a little washed out, but I really love the storytelling here. You can really feel that Vulpir is on there on the adventure, exploring stuff. Next one, another Warband piece. Definitely a huge amount of hours put into those, and I don't think I end up sharing any other than the first one. Yeah, they're saved, but I didn't post them. Yeah, so quite a lot of stuff going on here. I think it was the first gnome I have ever painted and the first goblin I've ever painted. So yeah, definitely quite a lot of fun was had there. Another Warband piece. Yeah, this one I think was my favorite just due to the colors, and it was actually quite an interesting request because they only had 3 characters, and instead of the 4th one, they asked me to include Death Knight pets, which I definitely enjoyed painting. It was very fun. I think if you're curious, I think I have charged 600 or so dollars for this piece. Another fear left. Another goddamn fear left. But you know I love painting them, right? By this point. You know why I say that I can paint them with my eyes closed. A stream commission of a drug fear, they asked me to do breasts for them, even though in-game drug fears don't really have like definition of like male or female features. And it was definitely a right choice because I think on Twitter this piece went really, really well, like 4,000 or 5,000 likes, definitely went crazy. Love the colors here too, definitely cooked on this. Another 4th last Warband piece. This one was, I think, the most straightforward because I already had a lot of practice with the previous ones. 4 girlies chilling around campfire is how I would call it. I guess the highlight of this piece is a little fish jumping out of the water. All right, a full illustration commission. I think I ended up painting this Dark Ranger in the forest, and then it kind of felt a little underwhelming, kind of empty, and then I decided to add like little wisps, little souls of ghosts, because the forest is called Ghostlands, I think. So just to bring kind of more meaning to this piece, more storytelling. Next piece is oh yes, I recall this one. This was a stream commission, but you can notice it being an anime character, which at that point it was like a no for me. Nothing but Warcraft characters, right? But the person who requested this is actually like a long-time viewer, supporter of my Twitch channel, and at this time like already moderator too. So they asked if they can commission me like an anime character, favorite manga character of their girlfriend, because they wanted to print this and give it to her for her birthday. So I was like, yeah, of course, man. Because at this point, I've been doing, as you might have noticed, it's been a lot of art, and I didn't even post all of that at the point. I kind of do more art that I post because I post every like 3-4 days to keep the algorithm going. So I was sitting on a lot of art, and I could afford to just do a piece that I knew that I wouldn't post. And you know, an anime girl, nice little anime girl, just for a little variety. Definitely was pretty pleased with painting this one. Looks well. I would say the only downside of the piece is the crown here kind of crops the piece in a little awkward way. I tried to break it up, but yeah, definitely don't really like how it looks here. But the rest I really like how it turned out. All the hues, everything, the rendering. For 6 hours especially. And I think at this point I started season 3 of stream commissions. I kind of made them in seasons where I would take up a lot of requests in advance, collect all the payments, and then just work on them one by one. And this being the first season, I actually upped the price to how it stays now. It is $110 per piece. So this was the first one for 110. Yeah, quite satisfied with the price. Definitely feel like it's affordable for people who are after commissioning art like this, and also comfortable for me, where I feel very compensated for the work that I do. Next one, another stream commission, a Night Elf Druid. You can see I already go for a top-down view. It's like one of my kind of favorite things to do now. Still can do a lot of rendering, cook with colors and everything. The next piece, I would say, next piece is definitely the highlight of the year for me. It was a personal piece, a fan art of Anduin from WoW. He's one of the main characters in the story, and I really cooked with this piece. Tried to go for light on light composition, absolutely going nuts with all the hue variation here in the background. And I would say fabric is something that I tried to do many times, if you notice, and definitely here I have succeeded with it. So even though it might look like just random brushstrokes, they together, being different hues, different shapes, they come into this like direction and they guide you throughout the piece. And also the idea, the hint of the story here is that the crystal in the back is shining like absolute metal light on the whole zone and everything's bright, but the guy's looking at his hand and kind of hinting at the story where he lost his light. He was able to use light to his will himself, and he kind of lost that ability throughout like some events in the story, and it is like hinting towards it. And this piece is by far the most popular that I've made. I think like 6,000 likes or so, like really it's super well, brought me a lot of new followers, a lot of people to see my art. And then coming back to stream commissions, dragon, I think there was like a little of a special request. It's like a Dragfear character, or rather it was like a black dragon in shape of a elf with a tail too, so a little bit special here. Trying to do this like bottom-up view, I try to kind of rotate through different point of views. Vulpira Priest. I think Vulpiras are still the hardest one for me to paint. Just like I don't really grasp the shape of their muzzle, and also the tail also gives me so much trouble. So you can see, even though I really try to kind of push my rendering here, hues, colors, everything, it almost lacks the character that brings it together, just because of the how I treat their gesture and body. This one was an interesting one. It is also a stream commission, but person just went ahead and commissioned me an old god, which is like a creature, an enemy, a boss that they killed in WoW. So was pretty thrilled by that. Never expected for anybody to commission me an old god. But yeah, pretty cool. Another stream commission of a paladin. Looking pretty nice. Tried to kind of spice it up with dynamic lighting. A feral druid, since I felt like drawing it sleeping for some reason. I really felt like drawing a cat sleeping. And to make it more interesting and dynamic, I did a burning Teldrassil in the background. It is the tree that was the home for night elves, and her sleeping there in her form of a cat kind of it has like some story hints here. So like for people who play WoW, it would go hard. And I think this piece did pretty good on Twitter as well. Was quite proud of that, even though you can see doing so many things in one illustration definitely left the rendering here a little bit rough in some parts. Oh, another Dragfear mage for this time around, and also got me mad likes again. Absolutely, people appreciate me painting dragons. What people also appreciate me painting, you'll see in two next pieces, which is kind of like being made two at once. So, Azalata fan art, she's a villain in the new WoW expansion, and she looks absolutely incredible. I love her design, and I've painted her quite a few times already. So here, just kind of top-down view, nothing really crazy going on, but you can definitely see most of the character. She's using this artifact that she's using in the game too. So what I did, just like a simple kind of comfort zone pose, and then I just did, quite some in-depth rendering. Really enjoyed cooking on this one. Definitely was a nice break from commissions. And what I also intended to paint, since, with Zalatav, it's a thing where, for some reason, WoW developers always put her bare feet in the cinematic shots in the story. So since I did this piece without her feet, I decided to paint them separately. And yeah, there is that. Back to stream commissions. Another Blood Elf, Blood Death Knight, also cooking with shapes of blood here. Nice hues. Definitely you can see the transition from blue to yellow to green to back to blue, and all of them being contrasted with red. Very cool piece. I also like how I did the fabric here, if you can pay attention to this. Alright, next one, an unholy Worgen Death Knight. So for this piece, I actually definitely do recall me trying to go for quite a change in my art style, where I was thinking that I kind of wanted to shift it into more dark, grim, dark fantasy, Warhammer-ish vibe. And you can see here way darker shadows, ambient occlusion, kind of tripled from what I used to do. It definitely succeeded in that. So like, definitely less bright, not less colorful, I would say. You can still see quite a lot of hue variations here and there, but definitely more darker, mature vibe, so to say. And the next piece, I would definitely say, again, I don't know how many times I've said that, but this is definitely one of the best for me, if not the best stream commission that I've done this year for a very lovely viewer of my channel. I kind of tried to follow again with the Warhammer vibe, with very, very distinct ambient occlusion, um, dark shadows, but also like pretty bright, strong light. Not really much hue variation, but I think I definitely kind of leveled up when it comes to just applying light everywhere throughout the piece, and just, I don't know, in general, this piece really, really came together for me. Next one, however, I think was definitely downside for me. I don't know why, but this something about this character just made it really, really hard for me to work on, where so I actually ended up doing a couple of versions of this and then spending like extra, I don't know, 5-6 hours doing this piece just to send the commissioner, because I felt like I kind of, it wasn't really on the same level as my previous pieces, and I still think it isn't. However, I spent like definitely a lot of time reworking and trying to make this look good. Um, Maybe it might have been the back piece or just the Draenei kind of leg shape that I rarely draw. It kind of threw me off. But yeah, here's that. Next one was also for a good viewer of my channel, and they're actually huge enjoyer and supporter of this Warhammer kind of dark vibe style, which I definitely went in with here, and it almost doesn't even look like a Warcraft character at this point, so absolutely loved working on this, kind of like pushing the darks in, pushing the deep shadows. Next piece, however, was a little bit of a fight back on this, where I kind of came back to my little bit of a brighter art arc. And this is also like one of the definitely highlights of this year. Um, Somebody commissioned me to paint, actually that's a second commission of this year for the same person. The first one being the Orc Shaman, if you remember, in new Ascendance form, which is like a burst, kind of like a button that shamans press and they turn into this like huge elemental lord that just shoots out like lightning and fire. And I really loved kind of the redesign of the form that Blizzard did. They did it with this like crazy hair that looks like pretty goofy, but in my mind absolutely incredible in game. After that though, community was just crazy molding, not really enjoying the hair design that they did, and they had to redesign into like a calmer version, more normie version of this. And me and the commissioner, we agreed upon doing this crazy hair version. I definitely don't regret that. This piece looks really, really cool. Everything, like, I wouldn't change a single brush stroke on this piece. I think it looks all incredible. And you know who also thinks so? Blizzard do, because they reached out to me saying that they want to share this art on their socials, and they actually ended up doing so, but only on two their Twitter accounts. There are Spanish and I think some other Burundian or something language, which obviously I don't speak. They didn't share it on their like main NA or EU account. They shared those on like those accounts with less followers, but nonetheless, right? Like Blizzard shared my art. That's incredible. They reached out to me directly, which was absolutely thrilling. And yeah, definitely love this piece. Next one, Vulpira Shaman, kind of like Shadow Flame infused, so like a water and fire magic. Really enjoyed painting this one. A Sephrak. An interesting thing about Sephraks is that they're not a playable race in the game, but there are quite a few enthusiasts who always push for them being like a playable race. They always keep reminding people on Twitter for that, and personally have commissioned me to paint this, which was definitely an honor for me. Another stream commission of a priest. This already usual top-down view, which, you know, I think at this point I kind of nailed it pretty well. All the metal rendering and everything. I kind of ended up merging those two styles where I try to make things colorful, but at the same time also apply this desaturated, dark, ambient occlusion painting style that makes it more realistic. Mostly because I just like the process of making that. Like, it feels very straightforward. It feels like I can rely on my own techniques to really bring out the piece. And yeah, the result is, I'm quite thrilled with the result of this. Right, next piece being a full illustration for a drug fear. Obviously, you know the drill. Piece with a drug field did really well on Twitter. They did in the past, they did now, and we will do in the future. It was a really nice piece to work on. I kind of featured this drug fear standing in the ruins of Dalaran because it got destroyed in the latest WoW patch. And this is actually the same character, but in their human form, also standing there. But this one was a stream commission that they decided to commission me right after the full piece. Yeah, so you can definitely see the difference in the amount of details and everything that I do between those two. But yeah, still, nonetheless, pretty good stream commission piece. All right, the next one. This piece actually started not like this, it started like that, which was a huge struggle for me somehow. So this is like a 6 hours that I put in, and throughout those 6 hours I kind of went with one idea and then I kept iterating on it, or rather not really nailing the composition, the point of view, the horizon line, and then I just kept rotating the character to kind of accommodate for the composition, or rather for perspective what I was getting wrong, and then I just kept spending more and more time fixing every single part of their body until later then I went into the recording of the piece and actually saw that the initial angle was meant to be like this, and so I ended up just erase it and just redo the piece altogether. And mainly, like, part of that was because it was for a very, very long time regular commissioner of mine, and I just didn't feel like letting them down. Not like they will be let down by this piece, but this one is definitely way, way better. You can see just the characters here is chunky, unappealing. Really, they don't know what they're doing there. But this guy looks exactly how I wanted for him to look. He looks like a quest giver in the starting zone you would come up to and you would talk to. I really like this one. This one came out really well. And I actually even have somebody to blame, or rather something to blame for this this failure of 6 hours that was happened here, is that I switched from Photoshop to Clip Studio Paint. And, well, I was getting used to the software, okay? So forgive me on that. Next piece, a full illustration. I think this one actually is officially the last one that I finished in Photoshop. Also, a mage standing in the ruins of Dalaran amongst other or other dead mages. And I guess the thing that you don't really see here is a little plushie, which is, if you that's another thing. Like, if you play WoW, this will definitely mean a lot to you, because those plushies used to be like in the shop in Dalaran, and whenever it got destroyed, you were able to see them on the ground, and there actually was a quest for you to pick them up to kind of like feed on the feelings and nostalgia of the city that's been in the game for like 15 years or so, and now it's destroyed. Yeah, pretty cool piece. Really enjoyed working on this one. A stream commission, disciplined priest wielding with shadow too, like a top-down view. Pretty nice. All right, another one. I think that one was a rogue, and at this point I was kind of starting to get a hand of working in Clip Studio. Kind of try to cook with the shapes. I really like the eye square shape that I did here, very painterly, very expressive. I try to bring back some colors because what I've been noticing is that like past couple of pieces, even if you look at this one, they kind of went pretty colorless, and so I ended up just like splashing like very saturated color in the background and working from that. I think I ended up kind of ditching this approach later, but this is what I went with in this piece. And in this piece actually too, another stream commission, Death Knight. You can see trying to go for very Warhammer style, even like a quite a Warhammer pose too. But yeah, this one actually is a pretty nice one, if I'm to say so. Yeah, super saturated color in the background. Character on the other hand is quite desaturated. Otherwise, it will just, you know, turn into a complete mess. All right, moving to the next one. Another stream commission. Actually, this one is for a very nice, sweet regular viewer of mine who I played with. It's their Undead Priest, which definitely came out pretty well. Very strong direct lighting. I kind of try to make them to almost be like scared or like caught off guard by this light, and they're like covering their face with the hood. Yes, the character is missing the bottom jaw. And yeah, very bright orange, saturate orange in the background to kind of to play into this idea of a saturated tone being somewhere in the piece. Another stream commission, White Elf Monk with some additional void theme. Really like the shapes that I did in the back, and as you can see, a top-down angle is already pretty used to at this point. Pretty nice, pretty easy to work with. Switching this up with a bottom-up angle of this hunter, I think a blood elf hunter, right? Like some clouds in the back, some really nice color theme here. Obviously, was quite pleased with this piece. Nothing too special, nothing too outstanding, I would say, for this one. But just kind of well made. I kind of also switched my approach. I guess I should have mentioned this earlier, but I think around mid of the year, I've completely abandoned using any references whatsoever to just. I felt like it was allowing me to focus more on kind of what I want to do and how I want to dictate my shapes to go. And you can definitely see that happening throughout the year as of like these pieces. I almost go on my own journey of like figuring out what works and what doesn't. So you can see me going from like very pose driven strict pieces to more of exploration. Okay, this is top down view, this is bottom up view, and really figuring out for myself what works and what doesn't, which I think is absolutely incredible and enormously valuable like lesson that I have learned. And I actually got so accustomed to not using any references that it actually frees me up, and like I feel like I'm actually free to do my own art instead of just half copying somebody, half like rendering myself, if you know what I mean. Talking about half copying somebody, the next piece is definitely another regret of the year, an arcane fan art, which again, if you listened to me before, you shouldn't really. I should have not done stuff that is, you know, outside of my zone, outside of WoW, outside of what I'm like, what I am into. So I threw this quick together, hoping that I would get engagement on Twitter and hungry for likes and everything. And the algorithm that was already kind of aligned, that has already aligned me to WoW stuff, didn't really like this, and this ended up, nobody has ended up seeing this, which I shamelessly just deleted like a couple of hours later whenever I saw 2 likes out of pity, probably from myself and my mom. And that's gone now. Nice. back to stream commissions, back to the work that we love, Warcraft characters, uh, a Warlock, a Draenei Warlock. Again, top-down view allows you to see the character and everything absolutely well, and also the rendering and the colors here. I feel quite good about this piece. Next one being is a very, very also nice one. Really enjoyed working on this. There was a full illustration of 2 characters. The commissioner was an absolute blessing to work with. Very, very nice understanding, and they asked for me to kind of to rush this piece because it was meant for a birthday of their friend, and of course I agreed and did so, because I think it's very important to actually go towards people and their needs whenever they want something very specific from you, especially when it comes to art, because art is there to bring joy to other people, and I think sometimes you really gotta push your priorities back just to serve people well with the art that you do. And this piece was featuring their 2 of their characters. The idea was meant for them to kind of fight for DPS, like whoever would out DPS the other person, and they said they were just playing like crazy, pulling everything, sometimes causing a group to wipe just because they were doing this race in DPS, and I ended up painting a lot of Alliance dead bodies, like they were slaying them in the background. Yeah, so it was pretty nice piece to work on. One thing I would note here is that you can notice characters are pretty desaturated when it comes to the overall piece, but the background is standing out with saturation and colorfulness. Right, getting back to stream commissions and Gnome, which I finally got to paint. Actually, this piece I redid. I remember I did half of it and wasn't satisfied with the pose, so I decided to start over and paint it again. Ended up having this again, comfort top-down view. Another stream commission. This one I remember was pretty rough because I started with a top-down view and then I kind of switched commission to almost like a eye-level view, which made it quite hard for me, and I ended up reworking it a lot, spending way more than 6 hours, but ended up being quite satisfied with. Like even if you zoom in, you can see a lot of nice details, and even the smoke in the background kind of resembles some shapes of faces or skulls or stuff like that. Moving on, a piece that I've actually posted pretty recently and called it a Mind Devourer, I think. Also a full illustration commission, which has started as like a forest scene in the background, which I kept adding those like little soul elements in, and then at some point I was like, damn, the soul elements really look good, but the goddamn forest just seems so boring and out of place. So I ended up just going mad, filling the whole piece with this like spell effect, and then messaging my commissioner, being like, hey, listen, stay with me for a second, like I've cooked mad here. And they've actually ended up really, really liking the idea, and we ended up finishing the piece like that. So you can see the this like devilish Draenei priest is torturing this night elf with a lot of shapes, which obviously I paint everything by hand. Never use any like photo bashing or anything, even from my own paintings. So this was actually a lot of joy to paint, and like quite a lot of shape language practice, which, you know, is incredibly important to me. Next piece is a drug fear, but none others than mine. So remember, right, all those dragons that been commissioned me throughout the year, and I initially didn't like working on them, but then later, with all the likes, all the support, all the drug fear enjoyers coming my way, I ended up switching from a shaman in game to a drug fear, and surprise, surprise, ended up liking them a lot. So this one is actually my own that I've painted, and I've actually posted this one, I think, a couple of days ago, and dude, already like 3,400 likes or something, absolutely crazy. Next piece, another stream commission of Demon Hunter, looking pretty nice. You can see the gold rendering here, looks incredible, pretty dynamic. Another stream commission. This one is a little different, and I actually have quite a few things to say in this. As of person who commissioned me this, they were actually gifting the commission to somebody else, and the person who it was gifted to sent me like a whole uh, PhD file with like requirements for this piece. And at first I was like, damn, this is not how it goes, because they've requested the pose, the vibe, everything in the background. This, like, they requested so many details that usually I don't allow for people to choose from in a format of this quick illustration commission, right? It's only the character and the rest is up to me. But this time I didn't really feel like even arguing with them. Like, it's I think it's a good thing sometimes to like um kind of let people have it and just do whatever they want, because again, art is there for other people, and my duty as an artist to literally like bring joy and entertainment to other people, even if sometimes it is in expense of my own comfort. So I actually ended up doing this piece for them. I actually ended up liking it. Maybe, you know, if I was to choose everything, the pose, the vibe for the piece myself, it wouldn't even be as good. So yeah, this piece was quite good. Not as good as the next one, because it's a dragon again, which I posted just today, and it was already pumping, already bringing me likes, new people, new followers, new scalies. And I think at this point, at this scale, I'll end up gathering all drag fears enjoyers in my community, in my little swamp. Also with the help of the next piece, which is also stream commission, another drag fear. And at this point, I kind of noticed that I kind of go a little. I've been going a little too hard with my stream commissions, allowing like full body, top down view, bottom up view, and I actually thought that perhaps I should scale it back. Perhaps I should keep it to like this half body as it has started, just improving on the rendering, my color, shape work, and also character expression. If you notice, this guy is really expressive, even though he's just smiling. There's something about the small eyes, his smile, his size. It just really sells the character, and I really ended up liking this one. So I followed the next stream commission also with something a little bit less on the scale, but like more to like bring the character's vibe. Next one being the same, actually. Also a Draenei mage, kind of cooked on colors here. You can notice my art is definitely going from like being very saturated to kind of less colorful, but more work on the shapes. Like if you just scroll through my work, you can definitely see different things that I'm focusing on. Yeah, you can definitely see the focus of this art, right? Right, next one being my personal piece of already mentioned Drakfir character that I made. And I've also obtained an elite PvP set, which I'm absolutely thrilled. Whoever has designed this set in Blizzard is an absolute god of art, and I hope to someday get on their level, but now I can only do fan arts of their outfits. So you can see my character painted back to back in her human form and in her dragon form, with the background being just a comfort zone, this like little ornamental looking flowery thing. A lot of hues, a lot of hues. I wouldn't say that I went that crazy with the colors here, but it was definitely a very enjoyable and nice piece to work on. Right, back to stream commissions then. This I think was a Death Knight, which was asked to me to paint like a little softer guy rather than like a very masculine WoW characters, and I think I succeeded in that. Next piece, which I did just recently, for the same guy who's a viewer of mine, who's a huge Warhammer enjoyer. You can see definitely this is almost not WoW, this is almost Warhammer. A lot of blood, a lot of like dark, deep shadows. I end up doing two versions with glowing eyes and with no eyes. Which one do you like? I kind of like both, but no eyes kind of scare more, I guess. Another stream commission, also focusing on less of the kind of the full body of the character, so like a half body, and more of an expression. So I definitely enjoyed painting her face and giving her immediately like a character's expression gives just so much more meaning to the overall vibe of the piece, which definitely continues with the next one being a Tauren with a goddamn chicken back piece. just enjoying her time in the flowers, sunny day. Definitely such a contrast, isn't it? Compare this to this. And this being done by the same artist actually within the same day. I've been working on this. At this point, we are at 152nd artwork. We've exceeded 150 pieces throughout the year. Next one being another stream commission, a Worgen Warrior, 153rd piece. I just finished this literally yesterday. And 154th piece, which I just finished today, Blood Elf Fire Mage. Love this piece, came out pretty well. And I actually have so many pieces that I'm also working on at the moment that are like almost done. Like 3 full illustrations that are almost done, and another fan art that is almost done, and many more stream commissions to go. So I'm definitely quite proud of what I've painted this year. It's quite a number, and you can see I haven't been really making things up with the number. I've been trying to do my best with every single piece, and even if some pieces don't come out as good as the others, like I still put like 100% and 10 effort into each of them, and will be continuing to doing so in the upcoming year for sure. The goal for next year is 200 pieces, which I think is definitely doable. Not even sacrificing any time, just like continuing grinding, because throughout this year I've definitely there were a couple of points where I kind of took it easy and stopped like doing those stream commissions, and took art a little bit easier in some moments, especially in summer, because I had some things going on in real life. But I'll try to go as hard as I can on it the next year. So if you stuck around, Sunshines, why would you watch me look for my art for so long? But nonetheless, I really appreciate that. And if you like what I do, if you'd like support me doing more WoW art, more expressing myself on my art journey, I would encourage you to support me on my Patreon. And also, if you like my art and you think it would be a good addition to your room, you can decorate it with my prints that I'll leave a link to in the description. Appreciate you all watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.